Bree below is our new guest host. Happy to have her on board. She's awesome. So, with that being said, for you, B, we're gonna have the viewers ask some questions below in the bar section. We'll get to that at a certain point, and have people able to go on video and ask you questions via that way, and then close out.
Sounds good. I'm here
So,
for it.
while we wait for him, who's always late, let's just kind of go into like a backstory, a personal backstory of yourself, from kind of where you used to be to how you got to where you are now on this whole subject and topic of health overall as a whole.
Okay. Um, well, for the first, like, I never really thought much about my health in terms of the foods that I consume. You know, whenever I would purchase things, I never thought about looking at the ingredients or how it affected me, like physically, mentally, and spiritually. And it wasn't until, you know, I was eating whatever, like pizza, any type of meats, a lot of processed foods. And, you know, I just thought that a lot of family issues, like whether we have a lot of, you know, high cholesterol or high blood pressure, that was going to be passed down to me, and it is what it is. But it wasn't until I started researching more into, you know, the history and African culture that I realized a lot of the things that how we carry ourselves, especially food, is something that made a big impact on how we carry ourselves, the way we think, the way we are here to live. So once I started researching more into African culture, you know, I began to come across people such as Layla Africa, Dr. Sebi, you know, things of that nature, to where people of that nature, to where you start to tap in to the information that they share. And then once you know, researching it is one thing, but when you actually apply it, it's a whole nother level, and you actually get to experience what it is that they're talking about. So, you know, that was just the whole shift that when I started reading the ingredients on the things that I consume, and, you know, knowing, I understand what it is that I'm eating. You know what I mean? Like, knowing what actual food is, whether it's, you know, understanding how a hybrid is created, or, you know, GMO foods, the importance of how they make you feel, and, you know, responding to who you are meant to be, or who you are to become. And yeah, it's just that it just changed my life as far as, you know, energy. The energy that I have is on a different level now, and the way that I think, and you know, I just can do more with my life, and I just wanted to, you know, share what I learned with other people as well, and get them to apply it.
That makes sense because a lot of people I feel went through some type of shift in their life which got them on that direction. You know, like some people, for example, when it comes to veganism, some people went vegan for animals. Some people went vegan because they had health issues. Um, when it comes to veganism, you know, we have raw vegan, we have vegan. Some people are vegetarian, some people are pescatarian or whatever. So, in your perspective, can you go a little bit into the differences between being a raw vegan and being a vegan, and what those kind of pertain to, and you know, the health genre?
Right. So, you know, a lot of people hear these terms, you know, vegan, raw vegan, alkaline, and it's just a matter of, like, everybody has their own definition of what alkaline is. In terms of how Dr. Sebi's approach is the African biomineral balance, where certain foods are alkaline, but you talk to another person, they may say broccoli is alkaline. That won't be the case if you're following Dr. Sebi. But, you know, when you come to raw vegan, as you said, a lot of people do it for the benefit of animals. And then there are some people who do it for the benefit of their health, or both, vice versa. They see both as a benefit. Raw vegan, I think they're not as selective when you come to alkaline foods or raw vegan. It's more like it just has to be raw. It doesn't have to be cooked. And they're not, what's the word I want to use? Like, in terms of raw vegan and vegan, they're looking to, I don't want to say they're looking to, but I honestly don't understand how certain vegans go about it, because I know a lot are more selective in terms of certain foods, like it just can't be cooked. And then vegan, they introduce things such as processed foods, as long as it's not dealing with animal cruelty. Like they still include things such as soy, tofu, tempeh, and these things, they're not harming animals, but in a sense, you're still harming yourself. It's not as beneficial to your health in terms of you know, producing better results. So you may experience like better results over time, but it can only get you but so far. There's a limit. So with alkalinity, they're selecting certain foods. Like, they're not looking to include hybrid foods. And hybrid foods are, when I speak about hybrid foods, I'm talking
Cauliflower.
about like cauliflower, broccoli, and these are correct, carrots, potatoes, and these, it's just a lot more complicated. That's why I'm a little all over the place, because you have hybrids created by man, and then there's naturally produced hybrids between you know, natural cross-pollination. But what Dr. Sebi's nutritional guide is to focus on foods closest to the original source. So that's why you get a different feel, and it's more of a holistic approach. But they're all still hybrid foods at the end of the day, because all of our food has, you know, been tampered with. Like, foods that are closest to the original source mostly will be foods that you find in the wild, harvested foods. And that's why I say that even Dr. Sebi's nutritional guide is limited to an extent in terms of health. But, you know, it's more so about your mindset and your approach, and always continuing to level up and find what you deem to be as beneficial. That's why fasting, I always recommend fasting is a great way. Where fasting, where you're eliminating foods altogether. And that's a great approach, because once you break your fast, you begin to see how certain foods affect you. If your nose starts running, if you're experiencing headaches or migraines, you get to see, once your body has been cleansed, what foods do what to your body.
Why you research African? Is it because of like your roots? Do foods like affect you depending on your culture, or how does that work?
That's a great question. Yeah, it is because of my roots and where, you know, my family originates from. And I do believe that you do have to eat according to or you don't have to, but it definitely helps if you eat in accordance to your blood type or where you originate from. And that's why I don't fault certain people who do choose to eat meat, because if they believe that they're where they come from or where they originate from or their culture, certain climates require you to follow a certain lifestyle to sustain your life. So, but following African culture and studying up on African culture, I just noticed that, we are people of the sun, and, a lot of those foods that get their energy source from the sun is what has shown to benefit us mostly.
First off, man, I love your videos on YouTube, bro. I've been watching them for a minute. What is your favorite type of fasting, man? I know you've been dibbling, dabbling. So which type of fasting do you prefer to do?
I really enjoy the green foods fast. I try to make it like a green foods liquid fast, where I would juice a lot of the greens, dandelion greens, the mustard greens, which are very spicy, but you add that in there, that helps the digestive system. It supplies your cells, and it just allows you to, I guess, get that cellular healing from the plants. And I would also say any fast that you can implement some of your herbal teas in there as well. When I do my fast, I like to base it off of what type of healing I'm trying to get. Like if I'm trying to repair my eyes, I will focus on a lot of herbs, or maybe even implement berries in the form of smoothies, because they have a lot of flavonoids that can help better the eyes. Me, I always had trouble with eyesight early on in life, where I would wear glasses. So I would always focus on a lot of the herbs that would help with my eyes, or if I'm trying to, cleanse up my bowel system, I will focus on herbs of that nature, like the burdock root, yellow dock, or even Cascara sagrada. Just a lot of I do a lot of focused type of fasting. It depends which type of healing that I'm trying to get. If it's spiritual, I like to do a water fast, but I never do that for long. It's more like anywhere from 1 to 3 days. It really depends what type of healing I'm looking to get, but mostly herbal teas or smoothies type of fasting.
Pascal, so I feel like when you fast, it brings you closer to, I don't know what you believe in, but like spiritually, whether you believe in Yahweh or whoever, do you feel like it brings you closer?
As far as fasting?
Yes, because I know some people say that when they fast, they feel spiritually like connected more with God. Like when they completely cut off food, the outside world, and they just really, set with Him, like they can feel, they can feel.
Yeah, definitely. And me, I'm not religious, but I am spiritual. I believe in a God as far as myself and those amongst me, whether we're talking to other people or other creatures, the sun, plant life. I look at all those as God, and I'm a part of it. We create, we destroy. So I see myself as that's how I see God, and take on my spiritual take on it. But I definitely feel a lot more connected whenever I do fast. And I always try to fast while I'm fasting. Like if I'm going to do a fast, I like to maybe cut off ties with my cell phone as well, because when you're fasting, you can't really get as tapped in as you want to be when you're still on a lot of social media platforms, or just a lot of negative energy. I like to kind of fast away from life in general. whenever I do tap into that type of movement, just to,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
get into the spiritual effect.
And
I'm
that's
And
glad you
then,
touched on that because I wanted to kind of pick your brain on that topic for a minute was because I notice whenever I do it, well, first of all, I'll put it like this: when you detach from something, you are able to see everything that it's attached with. And
uh,
on that note, it's like when you remove yourself from eating, you start to see how much food is around or what we call food. You know, how many restaurants there are, how many, you know what I mean? Like all this stuff is all there, but when you actually are involved in it, you don't pay attention to it too much. So when you detach yourself from it, you're able to see it from a different perspective. So have you noticed for yourself that when you detach yourself from eating, it could be friends, it could be family, it could be people from your past, you know, people just around you in general, um, are kind of consuming, uh, in that sense, maybe your energy, your attention, like is a different form of feeding. Do you see that at all when you detach yourself from eating?
oh yeah, absolutely. And um, I think that's something that a lot of people underestimate when they do fast is that you don't realize how much food deals with, or how much that plays a part in a relationship that you have with other people. Like, and I'm just not a fun person to be around when I'm fasting. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to go to the movies and eat out. I don't want to go to this restaurant. I don't want to do anything really that involves food. Or I'm not even at the dinner table when you know what I mean. That's the time where you have togetherness, and I don't want to be. You know what I mean? I don't want to be around my family when that's taking place. And for someone who, I'm a chef of, I'm one of the top chefs in my household. You know what I mean? My wife cooks a bit here and there too, but um, I just have to, you just have to remove yourself, and you get to see how a lot of that, like a lot of that energy of other people, it's just crazy the relation with people and food. And
Right.
when you remove yourself from food, you're removing yourself from people in a sense too.
Right.
So
I think
yeah,
uh, to capitalize kind of like on what Bree was talking about as well, when it revolves, you know, the spiritual aspect of it, I can at least attest for myself, but I also want to hear your thoughts on it, is that you think it necessarily is because when we are consuming and we are eating, that you're becoming less of yourself. And to get back to what you truly are is to need less. Like, do you see it kind of in that way at all?
yeah. Even maybe you're becoming more of yourself, because once we strip all these extra things away, that's who you really are. Like when you start fasting and you become cranky, that might be who you really are. You figure out, you get to see a lot of the things that you're healing from or you're trying to heal from, and
Yeah.
it's just you're stripped naked, and nobody, you feel shameful when you're naked. So it's definitely an adjustment, and yeah, it's just out in the open. That's why if you're trying to get to know yourself, fasting is one of the best options to do it. You get to see a lot of your personalities, or your character traits just get exposed. You just have to be, open enough to accept them and work on them.
Right.
so it's
Less is more.
7% of
Damn.
um, our gut. So what would you recommend that we do every day to be able to cleanse our gut?
I would say hydration is definitely key. Um, Making sure that you're properly hydrated, drinking your spring water anywhere from 2 to 4 liters per day. Eating your water, by eating your water, like hydrating fruits and vegetables, which will be cantaloupe, watermelons, um,
Cucumbers.
cucumbers. Yep. Uh, much of those are very helpful. And then I think we're in a flow of eating like frequently. You know, they've programmed us to think about breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then they're all heavy too. They're heavy based. When you think about break fast, you have to think of it as breaking your fast. You're the first meal that you're breaking to start your day. So it has to be light, and then you have to kind of respect the times of when you choose to eat and what it is that you choose to eat. You have to be mindful, because people ask me what are your favorite herbs to, for bowel movements and all that. None of that really matters if you're going to keep following the same habits, the same routine. It's just you're going to defeat the purpose. So the best way to just cleanse your bowels is to, maybe within the morning you drink a nice cup of warm spring water with lime or ginger tea. And you prepare that, you drink that. Maybe your next meal, the first meal that you actually eat, can be the fruits that we mentioned, or a nice salad. And you just keep creating those habits to start your day, and you follow through. And the thing is that these shouldn't be felt as a chore. You know what I mean? You just want to make sure that you're doing it to where it's just a part of your daily routine. It feels natural. And the more we begin to do it, you're drinking your water, eating your fruits and veggies, and it just becomes a routine. You'll notice that you're starting to have bowel movements more frequently.
I want to ask a quick question on that topic. For people who, growing up, we've heard a lot about eat your veggies. You know what I mean? They're good for you. But the issue is we may think that, okay, we hear it, it's good for us, but we don't know why these things are good for us. So, on that topic of, certain vegetables, certain fruits, and especially herbs, which a lot of people don't know about, um, can you kind of go into why these things are good for us? Like why having cucumber, which is, a watery fruit, what that does for you, the benefits of it, whether it's cleansing or detoxing or revitalizing through vitamins and nutrients. Can you kind of go into some of that, of what these things give you?
Well, when we're talking about fruits, veggies, cucumber, for instance, these are foods that have minerals in them. And, they say the body is made up of minerals, 102 minerals, I believe, to be exact. So you want to eat foods that are natural, at least closest to the original forms of food, of what we know that, have minerals. They're coming from the ground up, or they're growing off the roots of the trees and or the vines of the trees. So it's just about supplying your body with the minerals. When you start eating cucumbers, you'll notice that maybe your skin is better. You have a lot more clear, smoother skin. Your acne is down, or your hair follicles are stronger. You're able to grow your hair back, or you start to notice things that maybe symptoms. A lot of men, it's crazy, at an early age of 30, they're experiencing issues such as erectile dysfunction.
30, man. They hitting 25 now.
Right. So, that's an early age to be experiencing issues such as that, or high blood pressure, people having strokes at early ages. And then, we're birthing children into this world with birth defects, whether it's autism or, more serious, no cancer. A lot of these things matter. So it is important to eat those foods that have a lot of the minerals, because, when we eat those foods that lack it, we pay for it in the long run.
Yeah, it's good that you said that too, because I believe that we lack generation, especially when it comes to our kids. Think about it. From the time that they're like 2, 5 years old, we're already feeding them McDonald's. So they're eating McDonald's,
Right.
Chick-fil-A, they're eating, so they're used to this fast diet. Like where I live, out of every 10 people, 6 of them are. That is a huge number, and trying to actually educate people on the benefits of, just going outside every single day for 30 minutes and walking, waking up in the morning and making a fruit blend versus, like you said, instead of making eggs or
Right.
that nature. It's very hard sometimes to really get into people's minds. Those interviews like this is such a great topic for us to have. It's with the time that we're getting ready to go into. We need to learn long days without being able to eat, or just our body being equipped, for the times that are coming. So this is such a beautiful topic. Definitely helps me out a lot as well, being able to, like, or just to help people in my community, because we suffer from a lack of knowledge. We perish from a lack of knowledge and not understanding.
Definitely. I agree 100%. Yeah, and the thing is, I'm starting to see, at least on my end, I'm starting to see a lot of change in the youth, and I get a lot of people that message me, they're like 15, 16, and they say they watch my videos and they've been following through. So, it's just a good feeling to see that the younger generation are starting to catch on, because that's where the change is going to make a difference, within generations to come, is when the youth start to catch on. Because, old heads are a little more challenging to, switch up the mindset. But once you already kind of, you already start thinking like that at an early age, it's a beautiful thing.
You touched on everything like beautifully, honestly. And just to like kind of piggyback on just that last thing, as far as just when Bree was mentioning a lot of people being, diabetic, more like we're like the most obese country in the world. And it's like that's
Mm.
ridiculous when you really think about all the resources we have access to. And
Right.
yet we are the most unhealthiest, even compared to third world countries and all of these other, things going on over there. We still eat the most unhealthy foods, the most processed foods, the most GMO foods, the list goes on. And I just think, if we can start getting to the youth at that younger age to get them more accommodated to eating more plants and fruits, they will naturally like neglect the unhealthy stuff.
Yeah. I'm glad you touched on that too. And I think that was what Dr. Sebi was alluding to in creating the African biomineral balance. And it's not to say that the African biomineral balance is only for Africans or people of African descent, because people outside of African descent have also followed it and experienced some great results. But it was to recognize that it does affect our people the most, and like we are impacted at a higher significant rate in terms of statistics. The statistics out there, we are the ones that have a higher percentage of high blood pressure, high cholesterol, even more unique sickle cell, even, like those are the more unique illnesses directed towards people of color. So that was the point, at least from my belief and my understanding of the African biomineral balance, is to, shape shift and change that result in the outcome.
I like that. I like that. One thing ever since following you, I always thought was, this guy is like, and I don't like to use this word, and I wouldn't say that you are this word, but like modernized Dr. Sebi. And what I mean by that is really just carrying on what Dr. Sebi taught and then using it in a way where it works for everyone in this generation. Like not everyone can follow Dr. Sebi because that was really at a different time, and sadly we lost
Right.
him, years ago. But moving forward, I'm sure that there's stuff Sebi didn't know. You know what I mean? That you can touch on, other people can touch on. So kind of if I say modernize, that's not in a derogatory way. That's just in a way where we can adapt to. And, going into that is when, Bree talks about the times that we're going in, there's a lot of people who aren't self-sustaining, and not just with, like everyday life, but even with growing your own food and where your food is sourced from and these types of things. So, I was wondering if you can kind of touch on the access to these herbs, fruits and vegetables as well, but especially herbs because a lot of people aren't familiar with herbs that may be around them all the time, like just even walking on the street in the backyard and,
Right. Yeah.
this type of stuff that can be used to help and cure you from all types of illnesses. So can you kind of go over the access to these herbs and what they're actually used for?
Yeah, so the thing is that you can find herbs anywhere. First and foremost, you can look on websites such as Mountain Rose Herbs, there's Star West Botanical Herbs, even your local grocery stores, your local food co-ops, they have a whole selection of herbs, whether you want fresh herbs, which are like more so you'll find used in a culinary sense, oregano, cayenne. Those are great foods that I use, and if I am preparing a cooked meal, because oregano, cayenne, they help you break down the food and digest it. They speed up the process for your digestion. But yeah, you can find herbs practically anywhere online, and it's just about doing your research on what you plan to do with the herb, whether you want to buy them fresh, dried, or you want to make a tonic out of them, or a tea. And you can also, I could walk right down the street and find elderberry. I could find elderberry and just pick it right off the branch of the tree. And herbs are all around us. Like we gotta. It's not about just going to the store or ordering them online. We gotta get in tune with nature and realize that nature is healing. Nature is all around us. It's not even just about herbs. It's making sure that you're walking every day. You're getting enough sunlight. But back on the topic of herbs, you can find herbs practically everywhere. I just recommend people to come, be diligent in your research. There's books that you can read on. Online you can find it on YouTube. And if you are if you do follow Dr. Sebi's work, he lists the products that he uses or he lists the ingredients for his products, like blue vervain, sarsaparilla, like a lot of those products, and he tells you what you can expect from taking this herb. But it's just, I don't like to talk about herbs with people who are transitioning into the lifestyle, because as a transitioner, you have to focus on breaking certain habits first again. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people can talk about herbs, but there's a lot of habits that we have to break first. Otherwise, it's going to look like baloney to you. It's not going to feel real to you. You're going to start thinking all the knowledge out there is classwork. You know what I mean? So it's about really getting in tune and focusing on how you can break certain habits. If you notice that this McDonald's is on the street and you always go to McDonald's, walk across the street, take the other block and get to your destination. Or just finding multiple ways. You might have to cut off some people within your life. A lot of people might be holding you back. They're still doing a lot of the same activities, cookouts, holidays. These are things that are holding us back. And you know, I know you asked specifically about herbs, but you don't know how many messages I get in my inbox asking me about herbs, and I just want them to be clear, like that's something that, like, it's great that people want to know where to get herbs, but it's much deeper than that, though.
I
No,
I
You
wanna
I
know?
I
hear you.
wanna I wanna veggie back on what my brother's saying too, especially just since we're on the topic of Sebi too, right? And his herbs. When Sebi was bringing people to the village, the only reason they were actually healing themselves because for one, he made them fast from everything. They literally
Good
ate
food, solid
nothing,
food,
and then he was giving them herbs gradually, and
right?
that's what actually helped cure these people. And a lot of people, he would say, like, they would go back to their original diet, but that's kind of like, that's, but what he's speaking on was basically the point of why he's saying he wouldn't want to talk to people about it, because certain people will be like, wow, well, if I could only fast for X, Y, and Z and then take some herbs and clear my body and rejuvenate my body, then I can go back to eating how I was eating. And anytime I
Right.
get sick, I can just stick to this regimen and this should work. And really, that's not the type of lifestyle you really want to live, and he's not promoting that. So I
Mhm.
understand completely why he's saying, when people are transitioning, because I get the same question too. People are like, oh, what are those herbs you taking and all this stuff? And it's like, you cannot you cannot drink sea moss and then go to McDonald's or go to Chick-fil-A and then be like, yeah,
Right,
I've had my sea moss for the day though, bro, like you told me.
Mm,
No, that's not how the body works. Everything is
right.
a chemical reaction. Like, so I just
You
think
know
people
what,
have to, yeah.
LJ, I'm glad you brought that up because that brings me to a great question that I have is there's detoxing and then there's retoxing. So you could detoxify your body and then retoxify your body because you detoxified your body. And
right,
Exactly.
And on that note, when we're talking about herbs, right? Herbs are not the I don't want to say they're not the cure to everything because they are the cure, but the issue is you can't take herbs and then, like you said, eat McDonald's or eat Chick-fil-A because you're defeating the purpose. And it's almost the same thing as in these pharmaceutical companies when they have these quote unquote medicines that they use, they're suppressing symptoms when your body is giving you these symptoms to show you something is wrong. So, when it comes to the herbs are there to cure and aid you, but I want you to kind of go over what necessarily or how you see it, what necessarily will happen or won't happen if you are using herbs, but you're still kind of going back to your old ways and eating things that are not aiding in your development health wise.
like what happens a lot is when you're you're detoxifying and then you're just reintroducing toxic foods into your lifestyle, your body kind of gets accustomed to it. It kind of expects it at this point, and then you might not even. It just doesn't feel like these herbs are doing anything more for you after a while, just because you're gonna reintroduce what got you sick in the first place anyway. So your body can only go but so far into a healing regimen. Like some people, they'll take herbs for like maybe anywhere from 7 days, or they'll fast for 7 days, and then they'll just go back to what they've been doing. But you haven't even finished healing at all. Like you've been eating a certain way for like 20 plus years, yet you only gave your healing a 7 day time span, and it doesn't work like that. You have to
Right.
heal the same amount, if not more, than you were toxifying your body. So, but to a lot of people, it sounds like a lot of work, because it is. Like we've spent years, decades detoxifying our body, so it's going to take more time, and that goes back to where I said it starts to feel like a chore, and then people kind of throw in the towel too early. So when you detoxify only to retoxify, your body's going to get used to it. It's not going to, you're not going to experience much more than the ceiling that you reach, because you haven't broke through that ceiling yet. Like, you haven't reached the healing. Like, a lot of people who follow Dr. Sebi, they're looking to remove the arthritis from their wrist, or, you know, they're looking to remove cancer, or you know, maybe they're just, you know, I mean, I'm not sure what stage of life somebody is in, but at least for me, I started eating like I think back in 2015, December 2015. You know, I made a brown soup fish meal, and I looked at my wife and told her, like, yo, this is the last time I'm going to eat this. I'm really going to, you know, make the transition to alkaline foods only and see where it gets me. And the thing was that I decided to fast on herbal teas that I would prepare. And if I did get hungry, which I knew I would, it would only be from foods from Dr. Sebi's nutritional guide that I would eat. So like around day 10, day 12, I would start to experience something like different. A lot of people just have to feel that whole different them, like that whole different form of them in order to keep going. And I feel like because they reintroduce things so quickly, they're not able to reach that, or they're not able to kind of get motivated to keep going, because they experienced a small bit of healing, but it wasn't enough to be like, wow, this is crazy. Everybody should be doing this. Yeah. And that's, you know what I mean? That's where they got to get to. Otherwise, it's just, you know what I mean? It's just going to all be hype.
Right. Honestly, I think you get to that when you fast. I mean, it's probably a cliche thing to say at this point, but at least for me, I've noticed about 3 days in, I'm like, I don't even want to eat anymore. Like, I'm like, why was I eating? Because you get to a point where you realize, when I was talking about like the detachment part of it, you get to a point where you realize you were only eating for entertainment. You weren't eating for health. You were eating because, you know, your friend wanted to go to Chili's, or, you know what I mean? Like, you were bored, or you have this emotional attachment to food. And so when you remove yourself from it, you're like, why was I doing that? And that was, I guess, my point of saying spiritually, less is more, to where you get back to kind of like where you should be, you know, like what you truly are. And one thing, though, that I don't think a lot of people incorporate, but you've talked about it a lot in your videos, was the tamarind juice, and the benefits of that. And so I wanted you to talk about that, because I don't think that's something a lot of people like are privy to, and can just go to the store or go somewhere and get this. But you've talked about it quite a bit and the benefits of it. So if you want to get into a little bit of that right now, feel free.
It's like, I stopped talking about it for a while because I know people was getting tired of, like, this dude's tripping off the tamarind juice, man. But yeah, tamarind juice, I would say, is probably one of the best alkalizing fruits out there, in my opinion, because a lot of people spend money on herbs, but that's really going to cleanse your body out, like, if you make it right. And that's why I show so many different videos. I'm even working on another quick video on how you can make it within an hour, because a lot of people don't like the process of having to soak tamarind. Like, you know, you de-shell it, you take the veins off, and then you have to let it, at least I let it soak for 8 hours or more. Sometimes I might devein it. I'll let it soak I'll take 1 pound of tamarind, let it soak in 5 cups of spring water, and then I'll leave it overnight. Cover the lid, leave it overnight, and that's allowing all of the minerals to just soak in the water. Everything's just soaked in. It's easy to blend, and you're getting all that fiber. So once you get all that fiber is just easy for the body to consume once you strain it. So it's just, once you drink it, about probably 30 minutes to an hour later, you're running to the bathroom. You got to stay home when you drink that. So, you know, once you release all those, like, once you have that bowel movement, you're releasing all those toxins and you just feel good, you feel lighter. But because it has so much fiber, you also feel satisfied. You also, you know, your appetite is at a satisfactory level, which is very important when you're fasting, because people fast and, you know, you reach a point, if you do it right, you reach a point to where you don't want to eat anymore. But when you do want to eat, a lot of people go through the hardship of binge eating when fasting, because you got to understand that, as you stated, many of us are emotional eaters. So when we eat, we feel a type of way, whether you feel happy, whether you felt sad and that meal made you happy. We're just emotional eaters. So you do have to be mindful of binge eating. And that's why I highly recommend tamarind as one of the best fruits to introduce if you're fasting, whether it's a liquid fast or you're doing a fruits fast. You know, I always say tamarind has to be one of those fruits that you include, just because it's just reaching all of those levels that will help you on your journey. And not only that, but they say that, you know, I'm not going to tout it that's true, but they say it's great for cleansing fluoride from the body. And the water that we drink on a daily basis, even if I don't drink tap water, but I do, you know, I take showers, of course. And the shower that we use is, you know, it has a high amounts of fluoride in it. And, you know, your skin is your biggest organ. You're absorbing those toxins on a daily basis. So for me to know that it cleanses fluoride from your body once you consume it, once you're releasing all those toxins, it makes it one of the best fruits to consume for me.
I mean, a lot of people are on sea moss, you know, and rightfully so, but
What
yeah,
kind of sea
tamarind is
moss
not
though?
something talked about.
Not the pool grown. You know that
No.
chopper
And
bars. He
that's the
people
thing,
be
like,
selling
yeah,
out there, but a lot of people
yeah,
out there not even taking the right sea moss. You know,
True.
they getting this pool grown crap that is farm
and
raised, and
yeah,
it's an
yeah,
issue too.
yeah, full grown and farm raised, like, and that's the thing, because you know how vegans say that they, you know, they don't eat meat to reduce animal cruelty, right? People who use full grown sea moss, in a way, in a sense, they are benefiting nature by doing that, because you think about it this way: everybody is on the sea moss craze. So we're if you're constantly taking wild crafted sea moss from its natural habitat, how's that affecting the habitat? I mean, we got to think about that, though. You know what I mean? Especially with the
Hmm.
amount of people talking about it. Sea moss isn't the only seaweed that has all those minerals, and we don't even know if that is true that it has 92 minerals, because there's so many different species of seaweed. Like sea moss, there's Gracilara, and then there's Chondrus crispus, which are two
Mm.
of the different sea mosses that are mostly talked about. And a lot of people will speak more so highly on Chondrus crispus because that's the one that Dr. Sebi mentioned. But
Right.
Gracilara, and one thing I will say about Chondrus crispus is you're not ever going to find any full-grown Chondrus crispus. Chondrus crispus, it just is what it is. It's grown in the colder climate waters, and you're not going to find
In the
full-grown.
Atlantic Ocean, you got to
Right,
go to the
Atlantic
east.
Ocean,
You got to
right,
go to the east border. You got to go all
right,
the way up
right.
there to get that for real.
Yeah, and it's more, but it has a purple hue to it. So, you know what I mean? You're not going to find full-grown. With Gracilara, it's still beneficial, but it can easily be replicated. That's where you do get full-grown. And that's where you get full-grown, then you get ocean-grown, and then you get wild-crafted. And ocean-grown is where they're still growing it around its natural habitat, but it's not from the rocks. as wildcrafted sea moss. So, you know what I mean? Like pool grown sea moss, it's not beneficial for you, but it's beneficial for the habitat. So,
Exactly.
you know what I
That's
mean?
what I was getting at
Yeah.
too, bro.
Yeah,
Cause
it's a lot to think about. And I think a lot of people, because sea moss has so much praise around its name, they forget about the other seaweeds like nori, kelp, dolce. They forget about those, and those are I won't say they're just as beneficial, but they're definitely up there, and you could definitely utilize those. Like I use dosing kelp instead of. There's times where I use those instead of sea salt. I use those to
Mm.
season my food, or maybe I just eat it as a snack. Sometimes you see those nori sheets.
Yep.
yep,
The
yep.
sheets of nori, yeah, you can eat those as a snack, and they're pretty good. But they have they have a decent amount of minerals in there as well.
We
I
got
I
kelp
want to.
noodles too out there. If people
Oh
didn't
yeah.
know, if you want to substitute for all that processed pasta, get you some
Right?
kelp
Oh yeah,
noodles,
the cat
man.
noodles. Yeah,
Kelp noodles are great.
those are fire. I made an alkaline ramen using kelp noodles.
Woo. Yep, me and
I
my girl
seen.
did
Yeah,
Yeah,
too.
I
Me
seen.
and
I
my
think of
girl
your
did
video.
too.
yeah. Oh,
I just made
that
spaghetti with
video
it.
I used spiralized zucchini in that one, but I did make it with the kelp noodles as well. Super fire, man.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah,
man, you can't complain about being vegan or being raw vegan or something, and you're making meals like that, like, you
yeah.
Right,
know,
right,
like you know what I mean. But I wanted to
right.
say one thing, and I'll pass it over to Bree. Was how you were talking about the like sea moss, but then there's other things. This was my point of like saying there's Dr. Sebi that a lot of people follow, and it's just that. But then there's you, which carries on Dr. Sebi, and then saying, hey, look, there's also this stuff that you don't know about. You know what I mean? That either
Right,
he didn't
right.
talk about or that people are not talking about. And that's what is needed now, because there are people who get stuck on this is what it is. And it's like, this isn't only what it is. There's also all of this other stuff too that you haven't been introduced to that, can be beneficial for, like how you said, your roots. Not everybody is what we are, and we're not what everybody else is, so it's all this information accumulated, is what's important. So, Bree, I'll pass it over to you. And then also, if you guys want to hop on and ask Be Thyself some questions via the video or in the question section, go ahead and we'll get to that. And then after, we'll start to close out. So, Bree, go ahead.
Okay, I'm just going to piggyback a little while ago when you guys were talking about fasting, because I believe when you fast, it clears your mind. And a lot of times, the reason why we eat the way that we eat is because our mind is not. So we tend to eat poisonous foods because we have a poisonous mindset. We don't think to take care of ourselves. So that's why fasting is so important for us as well, because quite literally it will cleanse our mind, shape us into who we really need to be. So that's really beautiful. Really touched on that topic as well. I don't really have much else for that. So I'm gonna go ahead to the audience that we start asking.
I'll touch on something that you said too. Simo, when you mentioned how people are going, they try to stick strictly to Sebi, right? But it's
Right.
kind of like people that do that, I'm realizing they don't really listen to the man's lectures and what he preaches, because he's constantly learning from other people. He had apprentices. He constantly had people around him. Like he learned most of the things that he like basically gave to the world was from his wife, his first wife. And
Facts.
so a lot of people don't know that, right? They just think this was just a man walking across the world, just going to every village and every tribe, just taking all these herbs and all. But no, it wasn't just him. He had a whole
Right.
team behind him. He had a whole village behind him. And
I sure
so
did.
I think, a lot of people, if they really were trying to take in the essence of his teachings, they would go and do research and they would explore themselves, because that's what's going to help his information go over the top and give more access to more things for people to incorporate into their diets.
Yeah,
Right.
and I'm glad you brought that up because, as you said, yeah, Dr. Sebi had a whole team with him, whether it was his son, his daughters, his wives. To my understanding, his wife, I believe, Maya.
Yeah,
Yeah. She was the one that created the. She was the one that did most of the work on the nutritional guide, Dr. Sebi's nutritional guide. And I think what people don't understand is, at least what Dr. Sebi, what I got across from Dr. Sebi is health can be ever changing. Just because we don't have control of our food supply. That's why, when he created the guide, there would be times where people would get upset that he removed something from the guide or he added something from the guide. That's because there's things that's ever changing, whether a way that a certain food is being mass produced or maybe something else within the world. I believe that, what was it? Maple syrup used to be on the guide, but he had to remove it because of the process that they do to extract that maple syrup from the tree, which is causing, I believe, adding formaldehyde
Yeah.
to the process. So, health is ever changing, and you got to really, I think Dr. Sebi's work, the nutritional guide, is a great base to start off with. Like, it's a great starting foundation. And then from there, once you implement that, you implement, little fasting routines, you really get to understand what works for you. It might be something on the guide, it might be something off the guide. And that's what is really, at least that's my philosophy. Like, I don't really, I look at Dr. Sebi as, one of the people that really helped change my life around. But I also realized that, I don't have to follow his work to a T to get the results that I want to get. And it's just about figuring that. That's what it is. That's what I stand for as far as, my motto is becoming God tier. And that's like becoming the best version of you by implementing a lot of different techniques, a lot of getting back to nature. Instead of hopping in your car, you should take a walk. Fast from your car. I do a lot of fasting from my car. Like on weekends, I tell my wife, I'm not going to use the car. If I gotta go somewhere, I'm taking the car unless it's an emergency. I gotta rush my daughter to the hospital or something, God forbid. But it's just about getting back to the basic routines and figuring out what works best for you, and applying common sense too. Like a lot of people may say meat works best for them, but it's not really getting them the results. That's where common sense has to take place. You have to don't hold on to something that's not getting you the results that you want.
Yeah, correct.
Man, it's funny you said that, man. I met this white dude and he told me like, my blood type is similar to a bear's, and that's why I eat meat. And I was just like, okay.
That's different.
Okay.
And that's the thing, when people say things like that, I don't argue with people because I'm not out here trying to be right or politically correct. Because people will tell me, oh, you need meat because because of vitamin B12. I'm like, no, you need meat because of vitamin B12. I don't. Like, give me the symptoms that people experience for a lack of vitamin B12. How come I'm not experiencing those symptoms? I haven't ate meat. Maybe meat's not the only place you can get vitamin B12 in. But, I'll let people think what they want to think. At the end of the day, everybody's right. And nobody's wrong, right? So,
That's the best way to put it. Like, that's how you stop arguing with an idiot. You're right.
That's fact, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. You just gotta let it be, man. You can't argue
Yeah,
with people that say things like that. And that's what I didn't argue with him, man. As soon as he went that road with me, and I didn't even say anything. He asked me what do I eat, and I told him I was vegan, right? And I eat mostly just plants. And I'm like 80% raw. And he was just like, oh yeah, well, if that's what you want to do, I'm close to it. He started explaining his diet to me. And it's
well,
just like,
yeah,
when they start explaining their diet to you and then they go into the details like you are
right.
criticizing them, you got to let them have it, man. You just got to go, all right, that's
Yeah.
cool. I respect it.
And that's the thing, because health at first sight for me was tricky, because there's a lot of information out there. I could look up information on CMOS and how it benefits, just as well as I could look at information on CMOS on how it can be negative for me, how it can cause negative side effects. So you have to do your own self-experience, your own research. Like don't just research it. Try it out and see what really stuck out to you. But
Absolutely.
it's just about getting the experience, self-hand experience. You can't listen to everybody. You have to listen to yourself for one.
Absolutely.
Agreed. Yeah, with this being said, before I go forward, uh, for the viewers, if you guys want to hop on video and ask any of us a question, then go ahead, send your request right now. If you guys have any questions and the question part, send your questions there. Don't put them in the comment section because we can't see them. People always do that. They always write their questions down there. I don't know why. It's just we're not gonna be able to see it. So, um, but moving forward, I wanted to ask you with this, we see kind of the world in a sickness type of state, just like in a state of sickness in a sense, where it's like people don't really put their health into their own hands. They're looking for like outsourced type of stuff to determine whether they're okay or they're ill, whether they're healthy or they're not. And I want I want you to kind of give some advice for people who may be stuck or don't probably have any information at all on where to start with doing so. With what do I need to do in order to become my best self and be healthy physically and mentally and spiritually?
I think you really have to do some research and study yourself. Studying yourself is the first route that I would take. Like, really, if you're really serious about it, and even get people who you're around involved and have them help you as well. See what it is that you know for a fact is not benefiting you, and figure out ways that you can stop doing it. Um, Maybe if it's your wife, your daughter, find ways to get them involved too. Like, and communicate with your family as well. I think it would help if you explain what it is that you're trying to do, and you have people to hold yourself accountable as well. Accountability in these days, I think, plays a big role. That's why whenever I do a fast, I do announce that I'm fasting, because I know I have a lot of people watching me. A lot of people are going to hold me accountable. A lot of people are going to message me, "How's your fast going?" Or they'll share me things that will help motivate me to keep going. I get that a lot. And I would say surround yourself with good energy too, because the issue is that when we're trying to do better, we're still hanging around things that aren't getting us there. You're still hanging around friends who smoke, who go to the club, and eat out. They're not even thinking twice about the ingredients that they consume. Just surrounding yourself with better. And the day and age we're in now, it's hard to do that, because it depends where you're at. You have a lot of rules and regulations as far as the pandemic goes, but there's there's countless ways to connect with people now, like how we're doing now. Instagram, finding certain hashtags that can connect you with like-minded individuals and follow those people. Join Facebook groups. There's a lot of big communities on there that you can get connected with, and people sharing their meals or sharing their stories of success on how they killed whatever it is they were trying to cure. So, just get in tune, and then you have to really create an outline. Anytime I do like a fast or I just notice it works in general. No matter what I do, I have to write out an outline of success. I have to write out how my week 1 is going to look. What am I going to do if I see myself starting to split? You have to take all that into accountability and really work hard to apply yourself. And then don't beat yourself up when you fall short of those goals. But don't stay there either. Don't stay there and then just suddenly you're back at square one. You have to pick yourself back up and then work back up on that goal.
Right. It sounds like it always boils back down to self. Like you got to be your own. You know.
All the time. You have to be your own hype man.
You have one question down here from Malice. Thoughts on dairy, food grade hydrogen peroxide.
Thoughts on dairy. It's just not gonna benefit your health. Like I think that's constantly shown in today's society. Like these are the things that are raising our blood pressure because it's clogging our cells. It's causing a lot of people asthma. Like funny story, or not a funny story, but story anyway. My daughter, she used to have an inhaler when she was around 2 years old. She had an inhaler because she had problems breathing. But this was before the time I started doing what I was doing. And once I cut dairy out of her regimen and kind of implemented more of the fruits and vegetables, she's no longer on an inhaler. She's 8 now, and I haven't taken her to the hospital once. So, a lot of
yeah.
And that might be only one story, but it's just time and time proven again. Dairy is more of a taste good food. It tastes good, but what is it really doing for you? And then you got to pay attention to how you feel after it. Like a lot of these foods, how we feel after we eat it. We don't feel so confident within ourselves. So, in regards to food grade hydrogen peroxide, I'm not sure if he could elaborate on that one.
Yeah, Malice, you want to hop in the video and ask that question? Because, this is me speaking right now, but normally when people do write stuff, it doesn't come out in the same context that
I just wanted to
right. So if you want to hop on and ask that question, then send a video request. But I was waiting for you to get to the funny part, B. I was like, wait, where's that?
I'm talking about it. I'm like, it's not really funny.
Yeah, he's like, funny story. I'm like, that wasn't funny. That was But that's excellent, though. I love that because people get used to going to hospitals. They think they put that into their hands, and they have the control over people's lives and people's health. And if you study the way that you study, and it's not just you, it's your daughter at this point, then it's now you cancel them out completely.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the thing, like we have to become our own testimonies, Like we have to become our own testimonies, our own success stories.
Yeah, like
Absolutely.
And issues that we have and stuff, this all comes from our diet and eating bags under our diet, what you're eating, what you're ingesting. Because literally what you're taking in, if it's toxic, it's going to come out and it's going to show. So your pores, like this girl was talking about her eyes, and I said, you cleanse your gut. I was like, that's literally what it is. I was like, you have to start cleansing yourself. all the fast food, the sweets, especially as women, we cannot take sweets like that, especially for, like, it will cause a lot of irritation for us. I don't want to get too graphic. It causes a lot of irritation for us. A lot of people do that. Even taking aspirin and things of that, all that stuff. Like, I think about all the things that we have been introduced in our lives, like milk, and that literally is inflammatory for you. All this stuff really kills us. That's why a man has a lifespan of 7 years. I like to say, oh, it's because you work more. And I'm like, no, because of your diet. My grandfather, until he was 92 years old. I have a grandmother currently going to be 100 years old this year as we speak. She was born in 1920. That's because of their diet and how they were raised. And they ate meat, but the meat was not processed the way that it is now. It's not
right.
Hormones and all this stuff that we have now. Like, so what we have and what we take in is literally poisoning. Like, literally, it's killing us. And I believe that's why we rank really low as far as like our school. You can't think. Like, our kids literally cannot function. All the sugars, ADHD. If we really take the time to think about it, like you said, and we take matters into our own hands, we literally strip the government and our state of the power that they have over our lives. And we can do that ourselves. Even like with the big C that's going on right now, a lot of the people passed away from, they said 75% have 4 comorbidities or more. That all goes literally back to our diet. It goes back to
Correct.
So like even like cancers and stuff, I think about cancer and I'm literally your diet. Like, this guy was telling me that his father had stage 4 cancer. He drank soda every single day, like 4 or 5 sodas every single day. He drank soda. So we believe that it was a soda, literally, that killed him.
Right.
Man, you said something too, Bree, about like the our ancestors, right? Our grandparents, because that's a lot of people's excuse this day. Well, my grandma, she did. Listen, most of our grandparents were raised on farmland back then. And that's what they don't want to admit that. They just want to use whatever. Oh, yeah, well, they ate this. No, it was a whole different way of life. Like the lifestyle back then. You grew things on your land, you ate it, or you got things from your neighbors, literally your community. It was community based a lot, like especially in the early 1900s. So that's what people forget to like include when they're trying to come up with an excuse to eat what they want to eat. But really, our grandparents were raised mostly on farmland. And that's why they were able to eat these animals and such, because they actually raised these animals themselves.
Yeah. So like my grandma would tell stories too, literally, like they would raise the chick up so they couldn't eat off the ground and they would cleanse them. So they literally went through an entire process. We're at a place where we don't know what is in anything anymore. Like even our vegetables, like we don't have a monopoly. So I was watching this video as well, and butchers now are getting meat already sent to them. So it's what they're ingesting, they don't even know anymore. They can't tell you. They have no idea. So we're feeding this, and think about a pregnant woman. She's eating all these things and ingesting these and giving it off to her baby. So it's all from an early age. Not only are they with it, but they're literally like addicted to these things from the womb. So it's almost like natural for them to come out and and then like you said before, this is why they have all these issues. We have the highest rate of autistic, diabetes in young kids, high blood pressure. Like you have kids at years old walking around almost 120 pounds. Like think about that. That is mind blowing.
Yeah. And it's funny because if you even share with them that there's a possibility that they could be relieved of that, a lot of people still struggle to even change those habits. They still don't find disbelief that there is healing within the foods that you eat. Like, and You know, it's funny when people bring up about, you know, I hear that a lot, that our ancestors ate meat. And as you mentioned, like the meat that they ate back then isn't the meat that they're eating today. Like they don't even know what they are eating. For one, you don't know what it is. Like it could be rat, it could be, you don't know, because everything, like you said, is pre-packaged, and it just it's just there on the shelf. And I remember working one day, and he was like, "Yo, I was listening to Dr. Sebi." He was like, "Yo, B, I was listening to Dr. Sebi. I was rocking with him until he said one thing." I was like, "Oh, what was that?" He said, "The animals of today aren't created by God." And I'm like, "You disagree with that?" Like cows, the chickens, like they're all, you
Hybrids.
know, hybrid animals
Hybrids.
to be domesticated. Like the animals,
Yep.
if our ancestors did eat meat, the animals that they did eat weren't domesticated. They had to really wrestle them and fight. It was a matter of life or death to get that animal on the plate. You know what I mean? But now
Exactly.
it's different. Animals are being raised to just be slaughtered. They're not out in the wild anymore. So, you know, it's just not the same. So when people use those arguments, it doesn't apply to today. It can't.
Right.
Yeah.
Completely different time, completely different mindset, completely different types of people. Even when it comes to how you're talking about breakfast, lunch, dinner, see, we're spoiled today. We eat whenever the hell we want to. We have
Right.
no respect for what we put in our body and the times that we do it. So, we become obese at 4 years old. You know what I mean? Like, how is that even a thing? It shouldn't be, but it is. It's just because you're so spoiled. You don't know what it's like to not shove stuff down your throat every day,
Right.
whether it be healthy or not. Um, Real quick, LJ, I'm gonna have you drop out of interviews. Come back on yours, but we have 2 video requests we're gonna get real quick, and then I'll bring you back on in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and let's bring Malice in real quick because he's the one who had that question for you that we didn't understand.
Yeah.
uh,
Oh, wow. Hi, guys.
there
Hey,
you are. What's up,
how you
man?
doing?
Everything's good. I've been enjoying this conversation while I was cooking. Nice to meet you, Be Thyself.
Hey,
It's my
appreciate
first time hearing of you. And everyone has really been well-spoken and, yeah, just made some great points.
Awesome, man.
So my dad, he kind of got me on this habit of adding food-grade hydrogen peroxide into my water, oregano oil into my coffee. And food-grade hydrogen peroxide is supposed to be an antibacterial, which I know some people say is not good for our bodies. I was wondering if you had any thoughts on that. And I had another question, but I'll forget it. Yeah, go ahead, take over.
Yeah, like I'll honestly have to do more research on it, but I guess what benefit are you getting from it, or like what is it doing for you? As far as I know, you said you add it to your water or your.
Yeah.
What is
It's
it
supposed
supposed
to
to do?
cleanse your water. Earlier, you were talking about the amount of fluoride that's in our water.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I do. What's it called? When you process your water.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I get what you're saying. And I believe, from my understanding, I believe that's the same technique that a lot of alkaline water brands do. They are adding minerals to the water, but it is an unnatural process. And with that being said, because these are minerals unnaturally added, your body doesn't really know how to absorb them. So while you may feel good, it's causing issues in the long run. And people don't understand is that alkaline water is just water with minerals added to it. So what does that mean? You can alkaline your own water. You can take spring water, or some people go with distilled. Me, I choose spring water because, you know, it's naturally sprung up from the ground, and I just can't find distilled water in glass bottles either. So, you know, I'm biased towards spring water, but you can naturally alkaline your water by adding things to it, such as maybe herbs. Herbal tea is technically alkaline water because it's water with minerals to it. You can add cucumbers. Yeah, you can add cucumbers to your water. You can add key lime to your water. These are naturally adding minerals to it and benefiting you.
Yeah, I've never really had to struggle with my health, and luckily I've been doing the things that you say all my life, but I never made those connections. As far as tea is pretty much all I drink. Cucumber water, all that. I was raised pescatarian, and I didn't eat meat until I was 13. I came back from a camp and went to Taco Bell, and I was sick for like 2 weeks.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but since then I'm done with that. I've been into aquaponics for about 6 years now. So I raise all my own fish, grow all my own vegetables. I've got a ton of trees in my yard. I'm all about permaculture and like urban farming, that kind of thing. I was wondering if you had any thoughts on that, as far as that sort of knowledge penetrating our community and getting people to realize that they can have more agency in what we eat and how we distribute food, share food among one another.
Yeah, I think that's beauty, that you're even growing your own food. You know what I mean? And that's something that I wanted to do, at least for the community, if I'm able to, because I was thinking about doing a restaurant, but then I'd rather get some land and grow food for the community that way. You know, I think that should be practiced, even if it's like small things that you can grow out front of your yard or inside your house, like herbs. You know, it's just a good practice. And
microgreens are a really good one.
Right, exactly. And we should also start practicing harvesting food. You know what I mean? The food's already out there, honestly. It's just about getting back and connecting within nature, which, you know, I'm still practicing to do myself. I bought a scooter solely for that, you know, so I could just travel in the wild and start harvesting the mushrooms, the leafy greens. You know, a lot of Post Lane is out in the backwoods of the areas that I'm at. So, you know, harvesting and growing your own food, if possible, is one of the best methods.
Definitely. As far as establishing community, I think that's important. It's hard to grow and source everything that you might want to have a good varied diet and have the things that you like to eat. I like to grow fish and certain fruits and vegetables, a few vegetables here and there. But I know a hunter who he hunts for deer in the forest of Santa Cruz and freezes all kinds of meat, and I'll go to him whenever I want some good meat to eat. Otherwise, I'm just a fish guy. But yeah, I appreciate the comments and all your thoughts. Yeah, I just wanted to put those thoughts out. And
no, you had great questions, man. You had great questions, and B, you actually articulated the answer really, really well. Malice, I do want to touch on one thing though, because you said in terms of meat and pescatarianism, and then this is just me talking, but I would think that as long as you're getting them naturally and organically, if you're eating meat, that is the best option you can possibly do, rather than going to like Stater Brothers or something, you know what I mean, and going to the store and getting like that. Like if you're going to eat meat, then it needs to be a natural organically. It cannot be like the farm raised and all that. Like
that ties into what you guys were saying about how most creatures that we eat on a day-to-day basis aren't natural.
Exactly.
Even when it comes to fish, a lot of people don't know, but tilapia are GMO'd.
Bottom feeders.
Lots of different kinds of fish. Yeah, for me, I luckily got my fish from a natural source. I feed them duckweed, and they do their business in the water. That water goes into my plants, and it's a cycle that I done pretty well at sustaining. But yeah.
Yeah. Even better if it's natural spring water.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know. So, all right, man, fantastic. Thanks for hopping on. You know, stay on. We're gonna start closing out soon. We have another video request. So appreciate your questions, man. We're gonna move forward.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, yep. Okay, let's see if we still got that request in here. Yeah, we do. Okay, let's bring her in. And then we'll bring LJ back if we don't have any more video requests, and we'll close out.
Oh, hi. Good
Hello.
Hey,
night.
how's it going?
Good. My name is Monique.
Nice to have
I
you on
was
here,
born
Monique.
in, oh, I joined late, but I got a good bit of the gist of what you guys were talking about. And I actually tried to start to come off meat like years ago, but I just gradually like eat it now off and on because I was born and raised in the Caribbean. So like when you guys talk
That's fun.
about
Yeah.
when you guys talk about um the meat, like I don't eat pork anymore, but I used to eat it when I was young because my uncle, he was raising pigs, so he had a pig sty. So and then how we grew like my at home, we our house, and then we had like more than one mango trees. We had like like you guys say key lime, orange, papaya, avocado, coconut trees. So everything was always there's a season.
Mm.
So like now, for instance, when I see fruits all throughout the year, I'm scared to buy it because
Mhm.
life is a cycle. And when these foods stay on the shelf for so long, I have an issue with that because I know it's supposed to die, it's supposed to rot.
Yeah.
And a lot of the fruits we getting now, they don't have seeds in it. And
That's
that kind of like raises my
I like that. That's an excellent point that you brought up because when we're talking about alkaline foods and eating your fruits and veggies, but then there is another level where you have to consider is, are these foods in season? Because
Yes,
we're that's why I also talk about harvesting your food, because when you harvest your food, you're just finding things that are growing naturally, that are in season. Even the seasons that the foods come in, it'll show you that we aren't supposed to be constantly eating. We shouldn't be eating all the
exactly.
time. There should be a time where you're stopping to eat. Like even nature does it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like
Like
even
you have the
like
squirrels
even with
that
the weather.
right.
You know what?
The squirrels and bears are they're hibernating for a set amount of time, which technically they're fasting.
They're
But
fasting.
they're collecting what they can during the season, and whatever run out, it just run out, and they wait until the season come approach for them to eat more. But they're not constantly eating like we are. But we're in a day where everything is like, I need it now. I need it now. So we could
Yeah,
go we could go to the store and find mangoes or strawberries in any time of day, even though they're not supposed to be during a certain
ex-
season.
exactly. Because
That's
what I learned like while I was like older now, like only a few years back, bananas are the only fruit. And I think I learned that from Dr. Sebi because
uh,
that's how I started. He said banana is the only fruit that you could pick green and you could leave it there to ripe. Any other
mm,
fruit, there's an acid in it. It
right.
creates an acid. So you're supposed to pick the fruits when it's ripe from the tree, or let it fall or something. Because even when you guys was talking about the food that the other gentleman who was there before, and he was talking about what our grandparents and great grandparents used to eat back then. Like for instance, my sisters and my brothers, we grew in the Caribbean. So what we know is like my mom would make a pot of soup on a Saturday, but she would go in the back of the house and cut a hand of green banana, she would take a machete and dig in the earth and as it dig up a piece of yam, dasheen, you know, and you must have a little bit of flour in the house. So she make a little flour dumpling.
Right.
And you know, so the pot, so you always have food. And the thing about it is that we not throwing any what you call these things? They give any plants now pesticides. Nobody not spraying the plants. Nobody not giving the plants any food. The same skin from the fruits and the vegetables, throw it back into the earth. Even the seeds. So even with the peppers. So then we would just see peppers growing, and I was like, oh, yeah, the seeds probably was thrown over there. But the food now we eat, like, it's so scary because people don't understand that how much chemicals in the food. And I remember I was listening sometime last year on the news, either last year or year before, but you know, they were all covering the big sea. And they said in Florida, I can't remember exactly where, but they had actually went in court because what they were fighting is that so they can't spray the fruits or the vegetables at a certain time, because when rainy season comes in, what they were saying is that goes right back into the soil, because there was some fish, they had some fish washed up, but the fish were dead. And the reason why they decided to like go to court and ask for them to not spray the plants, but they only gave them for a period of time. But again, they didn't even bring it over the news to let people know that actually the food, by spraying the plants, it goes back into the soil. And it killing the minerals that the soil has in it, the natural minerals. So the chemicals still gonna come back in the food. So we need to stop. Like, people really need to start advocating for them to stop use chemicals.
Right.
Yeah, because my dad will plant, and he was saying oh, that's to kill the bugs. I was like, the bugs need to eat too. At the end of the day, the bugs are a part of the cycle.
Correct.
And I was like, I want what the bugs eating.
I'll say this: any time that you have to disrupt nature, then you are disrupting the natural occurrence of everything. So literally what you just said, when you have to use chemicals to kill bugs, you're literally using chemicals to kill yourself. You know what I mean? You are a part of everything. You know, it's a disruption of a natural cycle, like you were saying. Also, I wanted to add on to that, in the Caribbean, you would have access to a lot of different tropical fruits and you know, and herbs and stuff like this. Like, it's, if you know what you're utilizing, like, you have it all damn near. You know, once again,
they're using a lot of pesticides because I stopped eating cabbage, because even when they grow in the crops, they will have after they spray, it will send like a scent throughout the air, so you know they sprayed. So I don't eat cabbage because of, you know, they want the cabbage to grow nice or whatever, but I don't eat cabbage for that purpose.
Right.
But now I live out there in Brooklyn, New York, but you know, where could we really farm? But I think when I see our people, color people, marching for certain things, some of the things I don't support, because to me, it is just about having us as, they just seeing us as consumers. That's basically what it is, right? And the things that people should be really speaking up about and marching for, because like I said, like I would say to people all the time, when you talk to me about health, I look at my health as what I put in my body, the food. So if I do not have access to good food in my community, why then we have these people representing us? Why are we going by the Korean stores and buying rotten fruits? And then in order for you to get the better ones, you have to go further. You have to go to Prospect Park.
I agree.
To the markets over there. Like,
that goes back to my point about consumerism. Goes back to my point about people constantly eating, because they're introducing a lot of pesticides to, to meet that demand which that consumerism is asking for. So if everybody started practicing eating less
And
or
fasting.
fasting, you'll see people stop using the pesticide, because that's indirectly boycotting that. You're
Yes,
indirectly boycotting that, because that's a show and prove. Like, we're marching, but we're not really, what I mean? We could march for that, but we're not showing that that's what we want, because we're still buying it at a steady pace.
exactly. Our money, like, in order to really hurt them, is like, if
Hmm.
you want to boycott where the money is, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Because even like when you say about fasting, like with us, what we grow on is, when you're fasting, you gotta pray and you gotta cleanse your body, right? So, and everything is like all commercialized. Like, people talk about getting organic. I'm even afraid to buy organic here because they they have a high price, but how do I know this is really organic,
Hmm.
right?
So
And
if you look at our organic system, I was reading about it because the FDA controls everything here in the United States. It's 51% has to be organic, 49% can be made of whatever it wants it to be. Same with your meats. It's 51% meat, and then 49% can be made of byproducts. So technically, what you're eating, when they say organic, it's really not truly organic, fresh.
exactly.
That's why it's going back to what you guys are saying. Eating off of our land and living off of our land is so crucial. We have really gotten away from that. That's part of the issue. Even now, our supply chain, and the reason for that is because we literally depend on other countries to bring us what we need. We
And
don't know.
when we could grow it right here.
Right. We have no idea what countries are doing. Like, they released a video in China, and this lady was literally making cabbage. She had water and some sort of substance, and she
You know what? I
That's
just
sick.
saw that. Yeah.
was making a cabbage. I was like, are
Hmm.
people understand? And if you think that our government doesn't know, our government
They knows.
what's
Yes.
going on.
Mm.
So they introduce this stuff to us intentionally. Now, when you think about the Big C makes sense. All of this makes sense because they have literally been setting us up to poison us, kill us a long time ago. It goes so deep. Like when they spray our vegetables and stuff with all the pesticides, and it goes into the ground, and our fruits and vegetables are absorbing all this stuff, it literally is just meant to kill people off. This is a big deal. Like, this is bigger than people think. But
Yeah, exactly.
we can detach from this system, like you said before. If you want to boycott anything, boycott the system. We can boycott the system literally through food and take back control. We need to take back control.
Back control. Yeah.
Mhm.
I totally agree with you because even like with now, with the type of foods we get in, what we have to do is detox regularly on a regular. So,
Like,
like, even coming back now saying detox, I didn't know that's what my mom used to give us. Like, when we were kids, every time we're on a break from school, you gotta drink a bitter bush. It's like,
yeah.
she said, "Oh, you guys gotta take your purge." I'm like, but it was a bush they go pick, they boil it, and then they make you drink it, and it sends you to the bathroom.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
Hmm.
we didn't know that was a cleanse, but we used to always have that at least twice or three times for the year
Yep.
You didn't
as
know
kids
what you
growing up.
found out.
Yeah.
You found out it was a cleanse.
It's
Yeah,
insane.
because even the like I always tell people when I was growing up, I don't know what a medicine cabinet is, so I don't have one at home because my mother didn't have one of that. So if we got sick, there's like a bush called fever grass. They go pick that, boil it, make you drink that. That makes you sweat. right? And what my mom always did was she would rub us with Vicks. So she would tap your head with lime alcohol, and then she would rub your whole body with Vicks, and and underneath your feet, put on socks and a long nightgown or pajamas. And she's gonna come and check on us in the night because we are going to sweat. When we sweat it out, she just take a warm rag, wipe your body clean, wipe the sweat off your body, change your bed linens, put on fresh dry clothes. Next morning they get up, oh my God, I feel better. I gotta go to school. Yes. So I'm taking Tylenol and these things. I don't keep those things for my kids because I didn't grow on that. So I will go the old method. Whereas people now, they just run to the emergency room, rather than try to educate yourself on some of these things.
Right.
And it's just about drinking. Again, it's because those things are building your immune system to fight off whatever foreign. The body will do its work.
Yeah.
That is what the body will do its work.
Yep.
I like
it's like a natural cut.
I like what you said about people, constantly running to the emergency room, or they're trying to mask away these symptoms. Like we're so quick to get a Benadryl or pop in the
Fix, yes.
But that's your body telling you something. But people don't understand these are the signs that your body is giving. They're not listening to it. They're just trying to mask it and quiet it down. They're trying to quiet their body down.
And that's what Dr. Sebi taught us. From really, because the body is not going to say, my knee, you need to check my knee out. The body just gives you signs by swelling or pain or whatever.
Right.
And he's like what he said, it all starts with inflammation. And I do believe all of the things he said, because a couple of years ago, I listened to a lot of his lectures. And then this Dr. Gundry, he's all over now. And I was like, this is what Dr. Sebi been saying. All these sicknesses starts in the gut.
Yeah.
In the gut. Why it is this white man, he was a medical doctor for how much ever years, stopped treating his patients with Western medicine, and now he's doing it through food. Why? So if he could tell us that, and he is saying the same things, that I was like, but because I listened to a long lecture he had that was online, and I was like, oh my God, he's saying this is what Dr. Sebi has been telling us all along. And he is saying the same things, and he started helping his patients through really checking their diet and taking things out and doing it through food. Right?
Right.
Learned from this Filipino woman. She said that what you do is take a onion and grate onion down and freeze it like a popsicle. So if your child gets sick, you can give it to them and it will literally sweat it out. I thought that was pretty cool. What my grandma would tell me back in the day, what they would do is they would take potato and they would put potato at the bottom of the foot and put a sock on you if you get sick, and it draws out the feet.
Yes.
Yeah, so we don't need, we don't, I know.
Don't need Western medication.
We don't. We have, that's what I told someone, and they laughed at me. They're like, you don't go to the doctor? And I was like, you can do everything at home. I was like, you don't need it. If you get an ear infection, you can literally take raw garlic and put it in your
and my mother just she said just warm a little bit of olive oil. You put it on a cotton and just rest it right there.
Yeah.
And she said it will just literally dry everything.
Yeah, there's things
it's all these natural things.
Yeah, there's things right at home that people when I know a whole family that got the big C. Entire family got literally zinc, vitamin C, D3s, broccoli, water in 3 days. I'm not even joking. 3 days, it was over. That was the wrap up for that. I was
listen
at home.
You guys
to all these, elites tell us how to run things when really God gave us our mind and gave us our immune system for a reason. He gave it.
This is why they censor. This is why they censor a lot of people, because literally this is so funny that, as you mentioned, that when they lock down in March of 2020 in New York. Like maybe 2 days after, I started to feel like, okay, I got up with a migraine and I wear glasses. So my eyes, I was like, oh no, my eyes hurting. I had a bad migraine. And then later on in the evening, I felt my chest tighten. But when I started the gym, I started taking yoga. And I remember the instructor was teaching breathing exercises. So I started to do that. And then the next morning, when I wake up, my lower back I was like, no, something is wrong. So I called 311 and then they directed me to a doctor. The doctor said, no, don't go to the emergency room. Stay home. Stay home. I was like, okay. And like maybe later on that day, I was cooking for my son. And I was like, wait, I know I put a little salt in the food, but I'm not tasting anything. So I was like, call my older son, Dominic, come taste this food. Is it okay? It has enough. He's like, yes, mommy. I said, okay. I was like, they say the food tasted good, but I'm not tasting anything. So gradually, I had these symptoms. And a friend of mine, he was like, no, you're probably getting that. Here, what to do? A Jamaican, eh? He said, no, you have white rum at home? I was like, yeah, I think I have any cupboard. He's like, just do that. If it's lemon or lime, squeeze that and mix it with honey. Drink that. Give your son, your older son, the little one so much. He was consistently around me. He didn't catch nothing. Neither the older one, nothing. I just had those symptoms. I did that. He told me, like during the course of the night, I was just sipping on like lemon water because my throat was dry, and I kept hydrated, and that's what I did. I did that alcohol, white rum, with lime and honey, morning and night. Do it for 3 days. I did that for 3 days, while consistently drinking water and lemon water, and nothing after.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah. When one of my friends, she was telling me, go test to see for A symptom. I was like, no, I'm not going to test for nothing, because my body did what it had to do.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was like a flu. It just fight it off.
That's right.
Your body will always do what it needs to do. That's why we have it.
And one other thing he encouraged me to do was, he was like, don't listen to them and stay locked up in the house. He said, you take your kids and go outside and get fresh air and take a walk in the park. And don't mask up. He said, go get fresh air.
Right.
I tell that to people all the time too, like, wearing a mask all day, breathing in your own carbon dioxide, like, it's not good, And
exactly.
Then the distancing, social distancing, is affecting you mentally as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's easy to look at your physical, but the mental is being impacted a lot, and that's something we can't see. So it's something that usually goes.
1 second.
You know what I mean? People forget about it. And then, go ahead.
And the funny thing is, as you mentioned, all that what they're doing, right? I remember, they always say it takes 30 days to build a new habit and 90 days to cut. So what they did there with people, putting that on for 30 days, and they stayed with that for 2 years. It's hard now, as they told them now, the so-called thing is off. They can take it off now. You see them, so they're conditioned.
Right.
Yeah.
They're conditioned. So again, even it goes back even with the food. How are you gonna have these people break this habit when they have all these processed big names in the communities and for cheaper than the organic food?
True.
So
but is it really, people got to start thinking, like, is it really cheaper? Because I'm paying for it in the long run.
Sure.
Paying hospital bills. So for our people to really think about what it is they eat, you get them to see the bigger picture of it, the long run, and how it affects them.
Yeah.
And so
that's
it's a lot.
Like going.
So I have one question before I go based on what you said with your food, how you do it raw. So, like, do you do like menus or meal plans, or because I would really like to, you know, like belong to a group that where, you know, everybody have each other accountable,
Right.
because I really want to strictly go back onto like a raw food.
I do have a Facebook group. It's called Becoming God Tier Fast, and that was a community that I've created. We haven't posted there in a while though, because you know I tried to sit back because I felt like a lot of people was just waiting on me to post. You know, maybe
Oh,
everybody
okay.
else was scared to post, but
Oh,
that is a community that I did create for people to kind of, you know, feel welcome to, you know, share what it is they're doing, and you know, we discuss certain things. I'm gonna start posting there more often too.
maybe you
Um,
could pin it so I could go and follow, because I
yeah.
don't really be on Facebook, honestly.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
But if it's for something, no, if it's for something like that, I will, you know, like go back and reopen my account for something like that. But like, I just think it's like idle. But it was nice having me.
Oh
The
yeah,
pleasure
of course. Yeah.
was
You
wonderful.
guys, yeah, continue doing what you guys doing.
Thank you.
No, thanks. You had awesome, so much, you know, informative stuff to say as well, and good
Thank you.
questions. So definitely appreciate you coming on. Um,
Thank you for having me. You
of
guys
course.
keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Keep this movement going.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
have a good one, okay? I'll keep watching.
Yeah, I related with a lot she was saying because my dad, he was born and raised in Montego Bay, so half the side of my family is from the Caribbean,
Okay.
and you know a lot of the things she was saying was like factual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Beautiful.
Yeah.
But the way that they live, man, I like, man, imagine that
You know,
yard and picking out fruits, and I was like, wow, that's awesome.
right.
But once again, this is why we do this, because you know we want to give everybody a voice, and a lot of people don't get that opportunity to say much or say anything at all, you know, and that could be an issue because so many people got so much stuff to say they don't know how to get it off. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's awesome to have a bunch of people, a bunch of different, you know, people on with different experiences.
we just spoke earlier about how people back then barely ate food. And when they
Mhm.
did eat meat, it wasn't even once a week. It wasn't once a month. They
Right,
ate
right,
they ate
right.
2 to 3 times a year. So what makes that?
Yeah,
What makes their diet? What makes their sole diet basically plant-based, vegan, or whatever you want to say, right? So that's another fact that y'all can go look up for yourself. And the other thing was he was trying to get in like talking about growing your fruits in different seasons. We talked about that in the interview series. So clearly if y'all were listening to this whole interaction, y'all wouldn't even have said what you said, bro. Because he tried to say, oh well, it's
people
gonna
got
get
selective
cool.
hearing, man.
Yeah,
They got selective
exactly.
hearing.
Exactly. And when they want to defend their so-called statement, okay, bro, you can have that, but it's not the facts. He started talking about meat, and I just said, all I said was meat does not digest well in the body, and I specifically talked about steak, and I said fruits were the fastest digesting food that you can consume in the body. That's a fact.
Yes.
It's a
Well,
fact. You can go
one
look this
thing
up.
one
Did
thing
nobody
Dr.
see?
Sebi mentioned was the affinity of certain stuff. If something is, you know, a chemical or synthetic, it doesn't form well with the body. We know that. But things that are natural, like apples, like oranges, you know what I mean, like cucumbers, these types of things, they go with your body because they're natural. When you have meat, which is dead carcass, it's not in a natural form. I mean, even when you're eating meat, you're not eating it raw. You have to cook it and coat it with natural substances such as cayenne pepper, paprika, and all this other stuff. So
But
you're
for
not
one,
even eating it
they're
in
not the
its
ones
usual
hunting
form.
either. They're not the ones hunting. That's the point. It's like, bro,
Right,
you're speaking about a cow for one, and we just talked about how cows are hybrids. So
right,
when you try
right,
to talk about
exactly.
indigenous and all this other bull you was trying to bring up, it's kind of like, brother, cows weren't even here 200 years ago. So even chicken. All these things are hybrid animals. So when you're talking about meat and all this stuff, oh, our ancestors ate meat. They did not eat that much meat. They ate majority plants. They did not even, like I said, they didn't eat meat every week or every month. They ate it once to twice to 3 times a year, man, majority. And of course, a lot of people are going to say, you know, in these cold climates that, oh, you know, food doesn't grow. Well, naturally, humans were not living in cold climates to start with. So when you talk about these Alaskans, because I done seen all them crazy shows, bro, when they out there hunting in fucking -30 weather, like, bro, that's a whole different type of lifestyle that kids got to accommodate. Like, there were only Eskimos out there, if y'all want to be honest, and it wasn't that many of them out there. So it's like, when they're talking about the majority of people, that's what we're getting to. Is like the diet. We ate fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds. Like this was our basis of our diet. And here he go saying he could debunk it. They can say all they want, and you could talk about fish, bro, but we're not even comparing fish to cow meat or chicken and other types of meat, bison or whatever, right? They were not eating these things every day or every week. So whatever you could say, it's your opinion. But what I'm telling you is, when you do the research, the proof is in the pudding, bro.
We're not even eating that now, though. I mean, like he was talking about Taco Bell. Taco Bell ain't real meat. You're not even eating meat now. This stuff isn't real. Like, this is all, even I think you touched on the processed vegan stuff.
The processed vegan, and like, that's where I struggled with on our introduction to the show when you asked about raw vegan, because these terms will have people thinking that they're eating healthy when they're not, because their mind is so focused on a term. Alkaline, vegan, raw vegan. That don't mean you're gonna be feeling well or you're gonna be healthy, or the food that you're actually eating is food.
Right.
Like you see, we have these things, Impossible Burgers now, and you look at the ingredients, it's crazy. Like, I mean, sure, you didn't kill an animal to do it, but now you're killing yourself.
That's facts.
And then, you know, I mean, we're at a point in life where we're so focused. We're not, you know, food is of the least concern for many of us. So we're not really watching what they're doing with our foods. Like, even apples. These apples are waxed in the stores. A lot of our fruits that are in the stores are waxed. So when you eat those, you're not getting that much benefit from them, man. Right. So it's just a lot. But the thing of the matter is that health is now complicated when it used to be so simple. It used to be simple, but now it has been complicated. That's why we need doctors and all these fancy terms, and we actually believe we can heal certain things that we got. So it's just about getting back to the basics and keeping health simple, because it really is.
BTHYSELF, we're going to close out. Just let everybody know where they can find you. Anything also that you're working on. You know what I mean? In the meantime, any type of events, anything you got coming up?
First of all, I really do want to appreciate you all for bringing me onto the platform, and you know, hearing what I have to say. You know what I mean? I feel honored to be on there. Love the setup, and it was a great honor to vibe with everybody, you know, and their thoughts on a matter of health, and we share it with the world. I would say you could connect with me here on Instagram at BTHYSELF. I haven't posted as much, but you know, I got the itch to get back in there and post more content here on Instagram. So you can follow me at BTHYSELF, of course, and BTHYSELF on YouTube. I try to drop a video at least once every week. And I'm also in the works of trying to travel more, you know, showing you how you can eat alkaline no matter where you're going, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
or not even just alkaline, but healthy food in general. It doesn't have to be. We'll stop using the word alkaline. I feel like I ran that into the ground, but you know, what I mean, I just want to get there, travel more, and then show more, not just food. It's just in general, like the air you breathe. You know, like our air is being polluted every day, and the air you breathe, the water you drink, it all matters. The location you're at, where you're at, are you getting enough sun? I'll tell you now, I'm not getting enough sun where I'm at. It's cold as ever. Got my heater on. That's not cool. So it's just showing the people that all these little things are actually big impacts on us that make a difference. And you know, we show them that you have the power. Like you have the power to become God tier. So you gotta become it. You gotta keep working at it, build it with consistency. And yeah, you can catch me on YouTube. I'm there on every week. And you know, we'll keep it moving. We'll try to get more content on there too. What I'm trying to do is make Be Thyself like a brand. I want more people on it other than myself. That's what I've been trying to do for a while. Like people who is on the same type of time. I want to build it and create it as a team unit to where, you know, we're all producing that content, and you know, it's not just me. So I just wanted to be like a unit, and we spread that across the globe. So that's what I'm working on. I'm just trying to figure out ways to effectively do that. And yeah, that's all I got.
That's amazing, man. I mean, you definitely have all of our support with that. You know, we definitely back you 100%. We love the vision, love what you're doing. You know, we definitely appreciate you being on here, giving us your time. We definitely went over the time a lot of it probably, but but you know, everything that you spoke was definitely well needed. A lot of people really enjoyed you know, the information that you brought. You know, as well as us three as well. At the end of the month, we're going to be doing a panel. We do a panel with the guests that we've had on for the month. If you want to join us for that, we will have you on with some of the other guests that we have, just for kind of like we'll have that interaction between people just asking all of you guys questions, and we'll just be hosting it. So you guys can go ahead and go forth with that. But that'll be coming at the end of the month. If you want to participate in that, you know, just let us know. But once again, it was amazing having you on here, man. This was great. And I will send you the video as well. If you want to post this anywhere on your platforms, you can. For us, it's going to be edited as well and put on YouTube. So yeah, we appreciate everybody also who asked questions and stuff. That was awesome. You guys had great questions for B and for the rest of us. Anything you guys, LJ or Bree, want to say closing out?
I'll let Bree. Oh, okay. She got nothing. I'm just gonna say thank you, B man, for coming in here. Thank you to the audience. I'm glad that it's good to have opposition so we can create a dialogue and give people, just lay the information out and let people decipher for themselves, because this is what it's all about. And you know, you could feel like it was biased or whatever, that's your opinion. At the end of the day, everybody on here can research and do the work yourself. If you've never tried a vegan diet, try it out for yourself and see how it makes you feel. And I'm not just talking physically, like we were saying, mentally or spiritually, right? Just see how it makes you feel and see if it's for you. I'm not here to tell you that this is the only way for everybody, because we never push that narrative on anything that we talk about on this channel. It's all about information and allowing people to decipher between it and to make your own decisions. And that's really what it's about. So, you know, I thank you so much for allowing us to interview, man. Like, I really fuck with your videos. I'm so happy that you was able to come on here, bro, for real.
Appreciate it, man.
All right. Well, man, we hope you have a good night. I know you like 3 hours ahead of us.
Yeah, it's my big time for sure, but you know, yeah. Again, I appreciate it. I'll definitely be up for the panel at the end of the month. I'm open to that.
Okay,
you know,
cool.
probably just have to reach out to me, and You know, I get short-term memory when I got so much going on. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
hopefully some of the herbs help. You know,
Yeah, we're
but
gonna have to do it at a reasonable time too, because you're ahead by a couple of hours. So we'll definitely figure it out and get it together. All right, you guys. So we're gonna close out.